So, let me introduce you to our main speaker tonight, Mr. Andrew Stotz. Andrew has been here in Thailand since 1992. He speaks Thai fluently, reads Thai, writes Thai. He's been lecturing for more than 21 years in finance. He recently gave up his 20-year career as an equity analyst for large investment banks. He was last position was managing director of the international business at Maybank Gimeng Securities Thailand. He's now working on his PhD in finance at the University of Science and Technology of China. And he's also an entrepreneur himself. He's investor. He's invested in various startups company, and one of them is called Coffee Works. You may see some of the cards going around Sukhumvit. He's just started jacademy.com, which is innovative online education. So, and this year he started Stotz investment research, which basically picks stocks across Asia. So if you want to be an investor, he's the man to talk to. And lastly, he's writing a book, basically applying Dr. W. Edwards Deming's 14 points to improve the quality of business. So tonight, Andrew is going to be giving you tips on pitching for startups. Andrew's been judges for many business plan competitions, so we've seen a lot of pitches, and I'm sure Bon and Sid, you're going to have some good tips from him tonight as well. So please, a warm welcome to Andrew.
Okay, I'm ready. Thank you for having me. Anytime I give a speech, and I've been giving speeches for many years, I am nervous. Students always ask, how do I get over feeling nervous? You don't. You will always feel nervous when you present. So, enjoy it. Today, I'm going to talk to you about a great presentation, and I'm going to tell you how a great presentation can change the world. Now, recently in Thailand, you may hear about Thai-style democracy. You may hear about pitching for startup. But you know what? There's only one style of democracy. It's one man, one vote. There's only one type of pregnancy. You're either pregnant or you're not. There's only one way to pitch. And I'm going to show you it today. It doesn't matter whether you're pitching for a startup, for a negotiation with your boyfriend, mom and dad, boss. It's all the same thing. And I'm going to show you about that tonight. There's a formula for a great outcome. And that formula is that you've got to have a good idea. Tonight we heard some great ideas, right? You take that idea and you combine that with a great presentation. And what do you get? You can change the world. Now, many people say, when I start speaking, change the world? What, you're going to change the world with laundry and food? Huh? I'll show you what I mean as we go through this presentation. So, are you ready to become a great presenter and change the world? There's 5 steps to a great speech. The 5 steps you can see outlined here. Have a strong argument, have a clear benefit, powerful delivery, attractive presentation, and an energetic ending. That's it. Today I'm going to keep track of where I am in my presentation by this bar at the bottom, so you can keep track yourself. So the first step is about a strong argument. You want to have a strong argument that's simple, with a really good flow. If it's not simple and the flow isn't clear, you've got a bad start. You want to start with the listener in mind. Now, right now, again, we're talking about strong argument, and these are the points under strong argument. Start with the audience, keep it simple, and it's about the ideas. Ideas is what brings value. People like me, financial guys, will overlook the financial if the idea is awesome. You got to prove it. You got to prove what you're saying. Now, I saw a great example of that was, did you see the slide he had that had all the logos? That's proof, right? That's validation he's trying to make there. So you're trying to prove your argument or your idea. And then there's a progression. You want to methodically move through your points. Don't jump around. Don't get distracted. So when we start with the listener in mind, as you can see, strong argument, now we're going to talk about the audience or the listener. Now, you've got to think about what is the audience's knowledge about the subject, and then assume they know nothing. I was once a judge in a case competition. It was a medical product. The other judge was a medical doctor, and she didn't understand what the product was about. Whose fault is that? The presenters. You have to make it so simple and clear. Assume that they know nothing. Ask questions like, who are they? What's their background? What's their attention span? If you're going to pitch in front of guys like myself and others who are willing to put in money into an investment, I wake up at 4 in the morning, start my day. By 5 a.m., I am working at my desk, in my office at home. And my day doesn't end till 9 at night. Now, I'm going to go sit down and listen to a case competition. What's going on in my head? I got 15 things that got to be done. I got 100 people I got to think about, right? So think about your audience. Keep it simple. You want to anticipate questions. A great presentation has no questions at the end. You want to brainstorm. You've got to be prepared. You'll never, ever, ever win money or a competition if you're not prepared. Now, keep your arguments simple. Now, isn't that a beautiful picture? The simplicity. Let's be simple. Life is already confusing enough out there. Keep it simple. Remember, less is more. Reduce, reduce, reduce. These are the things that I always say when you're making a presentation. Now, Most of you have probably heard this before. Today I'm going to talk about 3 points. Point number 1, dun dun dun. Point number 2, dun dun dun. Point number 3, dun dun dun. Now, today I've just gone over 3 points. What were they? 1, 2, 3. This repetition is powerful. But for you as the speaker, it feels repetitive. But it's not for the listener. The listener is gathering that information and putting it in their head. I always say when I'm in a case competition, to be a successful presenter in a case competition, you're competing against all these other teams, right? And in a case competition, they're presenting them to the judge. So the judge gets home, and let's say that the judge happens to be married, unlike me. So I go home to my cat, but for the normal judge, he's going to go home to his wife, and she's going to say, how was your day? Oh, weren't you doing that case judging? Yeah. How'd it go? What were some of the cases? You're like, yeah, they were really good. Well, what was one of them? They all run together. I guarantee you that's what happens for the judges. Except the great presentation, because the great presentation did 2 things. First, it was simple and clear. The judge could repeat it because it was repeated to him. The second thing is that you had energy, and you gave the energy to the judge. And that's the one the judge is going to remember. So think about the rule of 3s, the trying to keep your minimum. Now you're giving, in a lot of cases, we got 5 minutes. I've been an equity analyst all my career, writing research on the stock market and telling people to put their money into this stock. They could lose a lot of money, right? If they follow that recommendation and it's wrong. Then I go present to hedge funds around the world and the smartest fund managers around the world. You've got to keep it simple. You've got to make it clear. You've got to work hard on it and research it. Now, most important thing is that bad idea, get off the stage. Go back home. Go back to the drawing board. Go back to your classroom. Go back to wherever you were and go find a good idea. Sorry, we can't make a beautiful presentation that's powerful with a bad idea. The world is full of facts and information, but that's not what a great idea is about. You've got to draw conclusions from that, from those facts. You've got to be thinking differently. Think about creative brainstorming. Go for the less obvious thing. Creative brainstorming is a very powerful tool, and you can say, we have a brainstorming session, and we list up the top 3 things that we've come up with. In a creative brainstorming session, you basically throw those out and say, those are the ideas that everybody's going to come up with. Those are not the winning ideas. Throw them out and go for something not that. So that's really hard, creative brainstorming. And people always say, well, what idea are we going to do? That's not the question. The question you need to be asking is, are these the common answers? Those aren't going to make the winning idea. Now, don't just make statements and expect the audience to believe it or feel empowered by it. That's just not enough. You've got to make it easy to understand. I was listening to your pitch, not to call you out or anything, but since I'm a judge, usually I can do that. I was just imagining this few ladies behind those boxes pulling out the clothes and putting them in the washing machine and then putting them back in the boxes. I didn't really catch how it happened behind the box, right? So you've got to make it really easy to understand. Now, both presentations were very good, and they covered the main parts in a very short amount of time. But that's an example of how you want to make sure that it's all clear. Be a storyteller. The worst thing I've seen is people come up there to the stage, they're nervous, they're trying to talk really fast, tell them all the exciting things that they got. Sorry, that doesn't work. Here's myself telling a story at my coffee business with my business partner, Dale. And we're talking and we're telling a story about what we did. Sorry, must have been some problem there. I don't know what that is. Yogurt eating rats. Before I talk about yogurt eating rats, what I want to tell you is that the focus of a presentation is you, not your PowerPoints. You are the key. You are where I'm putting my money. You better live up to what you're saying in this presentation and make me money. PowerPoint is just a tool. Do you know the magic button? Do you know it? You see my clicker, which I bring everywhere I go. This is my clicker. I understand how to use it really well. The magic button on this clicker is right here. Right there, that's the magic button. So, I was on an airplane, and I got The Economist magazine in my lap. I'm just about to take off, and I see this article called Gut Instinct. This article was amazing. These wacky scientists in Ireland took 2 groups of rats. They put these groups in the swimming pool, a little rat swimming pool, and they let them swim until the rats got exhausted, and they timed how long it was. It's a test of positivity. When a rat loses hope, they stop swimming. They put rats into these mazes where there was no way out. The rat lost hope. How long did it take for the rat to lose hope? That's what they measured. Then they took the 2 groups of these rats and they fed one group yogurt. And they fed this one the normal food. They put them back into the water, back into the maze, and what did they find? The yogurt-eating rats swam and ran twice as far as the other rats. They started to investigate the bacteria in the stomach that the yogurt affected. And they realized it's about the bacteria. They severed the communication between the stomach and the mind. And that communication stopped the communication about the bacteria levels in the stomach. They put those rats back in. Even though they were eating yogurt, they went right back down to where the other rats were going. And what they found is that yogurt is so very, very valuable for the bacteria in your stomach, but for your positive attitude in life. I got off that plane, and the first thing I did is I got home and I bought a lot of yogurt. And I'm telling you, I eat yogurt every single morning. I even feed it to my cat, and she's happy. Become a storyteller. People's eyes are so powerful, so observant. Use their eyes to walk them through, to show them what you're saying. You remember I showed you that picture of a flower? I didn't say just the word simple. I showed you a picture of a simple flower. People are going to respond to the eyes. Now, the last point on the idea of strong argument is a progression. I've seen enough cases where people are jumping all around, and it's a mess. You've got to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. You want to provide a roadmap, a flow structure. Let the listener know the structure so that they know what's coming. Do you know my structure? Verbally mark it through the passage as you go. See how I've been pointing to these as we go through them, right? Now, this is what's critical. You need an overriding theme. Why are you here? What is your overriding theme? Do you remember what I said at the beginning of this speech? That you can take a great presentation, a great idea, and combine it with a great presentation, and what can you do? Change the world. You need an overriding theme. And you have to have a compelling finale, which I'll teach you a little bit about. So let's review what we've learned. We've learned that a strong argument is the first starting point for any great presentation. And that you've got to think of the audience, it's got to be simple, you've got to have quality ideas, you've got to prove it, and then you've got a progression. So now let's talk about clear benefit, and we've got these other three. Show the benefits up front. Let people know this is what you're going to get out of this. People's minds are so quickly distracted. Put it in a financial framework also for the financial people that are listening. Highlight only the main points. Don't go through all the detail. You are the one that knows what's important. And if you don't know, out of the 10 different arguments that you have, which one's most important, then get off the stage and go back and figure it out. When you talk about the financials, you want to talk about both profit. We're going to have a profit margin of 24%. And the next year it's going to rise to 36. And then we're going to have economies of scale and we're going to be at 45, whatever that is. But you also need to talk about how that drives value for me. I don't care about your profit margin if I can't get value out of it. That's only two ways I can get value out of it as an investor. Number one, dividend. You going to pay me a dividend? No, we need the money to expand. Okay, so where's my value? The value is in the exit. The value is in building the value of the company. Anything that can build the value of the company is valuable to me. So let's talk about benefits up front. Why are you here? Why are people coming to listen, right? Some of the reasons. You've got to think, why are they here? Lots of different reasons why people come. Now, one of the things that students miss all the time, and many people miss it, is that you got to have a hook. When I was young, I used to go fishing, and when you got a fish nibbling, they're there. The judges are there. They want to consider. The investor's there because they want to invest. You got to get that fish and hook them. Now, there's lots of ways to hook people, but the best way is usually greed or fear. Greed that they're going to make a lot of money, or fear that they're going to miss this opportunity because after this meeting, I am walking across the hallway to my next meeting with the other investors that I'm considering. So this is your chance. Any questions you have, ask now. Remember, you control the presentation. I'll show you later about how students give up control of a presentation. Now, you want to get them emotionally excited from the beginning. Or maybe something a little bit strange, like change the world from an idea and a presentation, from a laundry box and an app for reservation. Now, I'm a financial analyst, right? So I spend my time looking at the stock market. And when I look at the stock market, I look for companies that are really attractive. And let's put aside the presentation for a moment. I'll tell you, a couple of weeks ago, I was out visiting a factory. The factory is amazing, perfectly run, amazing product. These guys can grow this business 10 times from where it is today. And the average stock in the Thai stock market is trading at about 16 times PE. That's getting expensive. But you can buy this company at 8 times PE, half the market, and they're going to grow by 10 times. What a job I have. Would you like to know what stock that is? Yes. That's a hook. I just made that up. Energy. Energy. Can you feel my energy? you can start to feel my energy, and you will feel it more. I am precise. I know what I'm saying. But most importantly, I believe what I'm saying. But to be successful in a presentation comes down to one main thing, and that is the energy that you have inside is delivered to your audience, and the audience feels it. The audience feels your power, your interest, your energy. They trust you because they can feel it. They know when this business starts to have a hard time, you got the energy to take it on. Energy is the key. In fact, it doesn't matter what you say if you've got great energy. So basically, you want to put things into a financial framework so they can understand how's this going to come together? How are we going to make money from this? How are we going to profit from this? Now, finance is, I hate to say it, but many students tell me that they hate their finance class. They didn't like it. It's too difficult. They don't like math, all that stuff. Finance is difficult. And even for financial people, I get confused when people throw all kinds of numbers up there. So keep it extra simple when it comes to finance. Don't dump data on them. Show them only what matters. The main elements, the main points. If you confuse them, you'll lose them. And it happens just like that, and then they'll be gone. They won't show you. They'll just be like, okay, thank you. But you've lost them. So when you focus on it, you want to highlight the most important issues about this business, about this idea, about this presentation. A lazy presenter shows many different factors. They dump many bits of data. You are forcing the job onto your audience. That's not their job. And if you force it on me, it's over. And if you present to a guy like me, if somebody comes to me and says, you know, hey, could you fill out this survey? Why do I got to fill this out? Why aren't you asking me and just saying, do you agree with this or that? You know, some of us are really lazy and we don't want to do it. Don't make them do it. Now, show the impact on sales and profits, but most importantly, show about value, the impact on value. And really, everybody's got ideas in business and all this, but the ultimate objective is to improve or increase your profit. So you've got to put it into that framework. And also remember that any experienced manager or judge knows that implementation, right? When I just was giving a presentation and someone said, what do you look for in an investment? I look for three things. Number one, trust. Number two, the idea. Number three, the implementation. Do I trust this guy? If the idea is great, but I don't trust him, it's over. I don't do it. But if I trust this guy, then I got to ask the question, do I like the idea? Trust and a great idea, you're almost there. But if the guy, the man or woman or the team can't implement it, you're not there. And you can trust them 100%, but you're not there. So you want to put things in a framework, and you want to think about what managers versus shareholders want. Managers tend to think about profit and increasing profit and growth, but shareholders think about, well, wait a minute, if you just get growth and you don't increase your profitability, then that doesn't really add much value to the value of the company. So think in a valuation framework. Now, there's four things that matter from the financial world when it comes to value. First is increase your revenues. Anything you can do to increase your revenues is good, but you also have to reduce your costs. If you can reduce your risk, such as in my coffee business, when we started, we only delivered originally to offices. And then we added on coffee shops. And then we added on hotels. And as we added on these, we were diversifying our revenue stream and increasing our customer base, and that was reducing risk. That's valuable. And the final thing is reduce the amount of investment that you need. We just moved our coffee factory to a new location. Did we buy the land? Did we buy the building? No. Why do I need to invest my money in that asset? So what have we learned? What we've learned is that for clear benefit, you want to put the benefits up front, that money matters, and you want to put it into a financial framework. You want to present only the main points, and you want to look at profit and value. Now, let's talk about a powerful delivery. I love the topic of presentation. I've been presenting all my life. My first major presentation was to the police department when I was an 18-year-old punk. And I had to explain what punks do in the neighborhood so the police could catch them, right? That was my first one. I had a video of it, and it was just, I used to be able to watch it, but unfortunately I lost that. But it was pretty sad when you look back and see how my skills were at the time. But basically what you want to do is you want to bring power and structure. Those are the two things that you need. So let's talk about power. Power is about emotion and energy. Powerful people, they don't have to scream really loud. The founding head of this institution of Sasin is a very soft-spoken man, but his power is felt wherever he goes. So, energy, fun, happy. Bring your energy. Today I'm going to talk to you about my business idea, and this is a really interesting idea, and da-da-da-da-da. There's no energy. You got to bring your energy. So, you want to start with an opening, with a hook. You want to remember that people remember what was first said, and the problem that you face in presenting is that in the beginning, people will give you about 10 to 20 seconds. And after that 10 or 20 seconds, they've made their judgment. You don't have 10 minutes for a 10-minute presentation. You've got 10 seconds to get them excited. Half of my beginning was my introduction, which I wrote carefully to introduce myself, right? To make sure someone else introduced me, to get them interested. Then came my part of starting the presentation. You want to make a connection with your audience, that you're giving them something that can help them. Try to identify, for instance, I've been a judge. Some of you may be facing judges in case competitions, right? Show them that you're going to bring them. I'm going to bring you along in each step of this process. You're going to come with me. I'm not going to let you wander away, because I'm going to raise my voice and say something loud, and then I'm going to say something soft. I'm not going to let you get away. And look at you. Look at the audience. Look around. People are paying attention. It's the energy that we need. Now, this is where I've been teaching finance and presenting and all that. And financial analysts, as I was head of research, I have all these analysts, they write the reports. And what does it say on the front page of an analyst report? Guy's paid tons of money. And he says, net profit in third quarter was 437, and it was up 15% year on year and 20% Q on Q. What's that? That means nothing. So for people who aren't financial people, you think that you've got to present numbers. But I'm sorry, it's emotion. I am investing in you because I want to make a lot of money. I am greedy. I want to sit at my house and have money come in to my bank account. People want to get excited. They don't want to sit down, oh God, another presentation. Excite them. Bring your energy. Get them excited. If you're not passionate and excited about your idea, how do you expect that they will be? They are going to be less passionate about your idea, almost guaranteed, unless you just don't know anything and you present an amazing idea and you don't even realize it, and someone grabs you and goes, oh my God, you've got gold. But that's not happening most of the time. Most of the time they're like, well, show me what you got. And you go, well, it's, my idea and this and that. That's the maximum excitement that they're going to feel about your idea. Now, structure. Structure and planning. I've recently been working with an architect for building my house. Oh my God, these guys are crazy. They're mad. Architects are crazy. They ask me things like, well, how big do you want your house? I'm like, I don't know, like big, like my friend's house. Well, no, how big? Like how many rooms? I don't know, like 3 bedrooms. How about that? Okay. And how big do you want the master bedroom? Well, no, I need it in meters. Huh? I got to measure it all? For months, they put together this structure and this plan. And they're like, can't we just start building it? No, not until we have the structure and the plan in place. If we spent half that time on our life or on our presentation structure, imagine where you would be. So, a clear structure tells them, today, what are we doing today? We're taking a great idea, bringing it together with a great presentation, and we're changing the world. Provide a roadmap, a unified whole that you're trying to bring this thing together through. Crucial reports, crucial points, repeat them over and over again. Now, you want to think about, now what you've noticed probably is that as I end each section, I said, okay, we just talked about that, and we said boom, 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 now let's talk about this, right? This is an opening and a closing. You need the repetition to help them to get it. If you can link the last point to the next one, even better. Remember in the last section we talked about this? Remember that flower, that simple flower? Remember how I linked it back and then forward? It's kind of sad, when you listen to people talk to each other at a bar or wherever they are. And then I just heard it just last night. Someone said, you just asked me where I lived a minute ago. Huh? Oh, sorry. Yeah, you live at Changwatana, right? Yeah. People just remember so little. But what they remember is friel. They remember what's first, what's repeated, what's emotional, and what's last. In particular, they remember what's last. That's a big one. So use the power of this to keep them going and help them to remember things. You want to start with energy. But most people start with energy, and as they go through their presentation, what happens? It goes down. Now, you've already heard me yell or raise my voice twice in the middle of this lecture. Is my energy going down? It's going up. Repeat your main points over and over again. Try to bring their emotion in. When I'm saying that at a loud pace, it's bringing up your emotion. So, let's go over what we learned. What did we learn? Strong argument, clear benefit, powerful delivery. We talked about power and structure. Let's talk about attractive presentation. Remember the magic button? It's about you, your energy, your trust, your message, your idea, your presentation. It isn't about that. A great PowerPoint never wins the money or the competition. Now, the objective that you want is to instill confidence in your audience. Now, remember when I started, I said I'm nervous, right? Like I'm nervous, and you're nervous when you get up and present. We're all nervous. Well, William James, a psychologist from many years ago, wrote a book called The Variety of Religious Experiences. And what he found is the very best way to achieve a feeling is to act as if you feel it. You want to be confident? Act confident. You want to be happy? Act happy. Of course, some people want to be sad, so they act sad. There's no way of getting around it. You're always going to be nervous. You're always going to be lacking confidence when you get up. But that's no excuse. You still got to perform with confidence. Always face the audience. You're seeing that I'm walking over here, and I'm trying to stay facing the audience. Occasionally, I'll look at my slide, and I'm walking over here, and I'm actually walking a lot. I've realized I'm walking a lot over here, mainly because I want to be close to these three ladies. But no, just kidding. So you want to always face the audience. Bring your emotion to the audience. Now, if you ever need to do something such as point out something on the screen, what you do is you don't touch the screen. You look at what you're talking about. You put your hand there, and then you address the audience. Our profit margin is going to run. And by the time we're in our 5th year, it's going to be at 35% right there. So you can do that, but generally you don't need to. Now, another little trick is that if you ever use a pointer, they have these amazing things, lasers. Now, have you ever done a presentation and you've used a laser and you, what's happening? Yeah, that's what happens, right? You're nervous. So how do you solve that? I'll show you a little trick. Instead of moving around like that, touch the laser to your body. Hold it there and point it. People don't care where the laser is coming from. They care about where it is. So you can hold it down there, or if you're standing at a lectern or a lectern like this, you can basically say, hold it against the lectern. Little tips. Move around in a planned way, right? Map it out. So what time does my presentation start? 6:45. What time did I get to this room? Yeah, it was like 5. Now, first thing you're going to notice is that if you were here and you came down to the floor, so I'm getting to be an old man, so it's not easy. You'd notice my tape. And I have tape on the floor. And this tape, which I can't get that one up, whoops, almost. It'll be a permanent thing at Sasin here, the blue tape that Andrew Stotz left. But the tape is because I mapped out where I'll be standing. I knew I'm going to be standing here. And I knew that I'd be standing on this piece of tape. And then I knew as I walked back over here, I'd be standing on this piece of tape. So you've seen me pace back and forth, right? Now, why is that? One of the things you never want to do, and I did it in the last presentation, Thry saw it and caught me on it, is that you never want to be standing in and out of the light. And this is a tough stage because actually almost anywhere that you go on this stage, you're in the light. So the only place that I've mapped out is that I have to be in this area, which is why I'm standing here instead of over there. The most popular word in the English language is you. How do you benefit from this? What are you going to get out of this? This is your chance. Because I'm leaving this room in 5 minutes to go into the other room with investors that are equally excited as you or more. Are you ready to make a decision? You is a very powerful word when combined with gestures. Remember that in a gesture like this is a very open and very powerful gesture. To be able to point, to be open is very powerful. Now, students do it all the time. Keep your font size above 16. This font right here is 20 points. Always, whenever you're going to give a presentation, walk to the back of the room before anybody's there and look at your PowerPoints. I have faced situation when I was in the Philippines that the screen was not good quality, the projector was not good quality, and this wasn't even that clear. You never know what the conditions will be that you'll face. So always test it. No fancy graphics or slides. They generally fail. People don't get it. This is what's important to me. One message, one idea per chart. Keep it simple. Have fun with your slides. Now, this is an important thing for people that are presenting about the new venture and their idea and all of this stuff. You've been working on it 24/7. It's in your mind all the time. You've been looking at these graphs, but I'm sorry, the audience has never seen it before. It's confusing. They don't know what it is. They don't know what the x-axis is and what the y. But to you, it is very obvious. So make sure that you're making it as simple as possible. Now here's a chart as an example that I'll show you that I found very fascinating. If you look at this blue line, that's the G7, and this is public debt as a percent of GDP. When it's high, that economy or those groups of economies have a lot of debt. And what happened was when the advanced economies or the main big economies in the world, well, after World War II, that debt got worked down as the GDP grew very fast. But then it started to rise and rise and rise. And what happened here? We had the financial crisis. The financial crisis that happened in 2008 basically increased the debt levels at the countries, the developed countries. But look down here. Look at this chart. The emerging economies, and Thailand in particular, very, very low debt levels. So this is an example of how we can take a chart and try to explain the message and walk someone through it. It's better to walk someone through that chart than have 3 or 4 charts that they don't get. Bad charts have a descriptive title. Revenue growth for the next 3 years, whatever that is. Good charts tell you the meaning. What am I supposed to see in this chart? A title, a good title will tell you revenue growth is exploding. Costs are exploding. Unemployment is so low. Now, sounds that convey confidence. You want to develop a rhythm, vary your tone of voice, employ silence. Now, a lot of times what I'll do is if I'm really nervous in an audience, I'll come in and I'll see some guy like this gentleman right here looking at me. We got eye contact. When I come into an audience and I don't know him, I'm looking for that person I'm getting the positive response from, right? And then I'll look at someone, we talked before the meeting, right? So we talked outside. I have some familiarity with him. And then I'll look over here for someone that I'll know or that I'll feel comfortable with. And then instead of talking about eye contact, what I'm going to do is connect. I got my marker right here, and I'm going to connect. And then I'm going to move over here, and then I'm going to connect. And then I'm going to move over here, and I'm going to connect. And that's the way that you manage your movement. You heard me. Scream really loud. Be soft. Be fast. Be slow. Change it. Modulate your voice. Practice how to stress different words. You want to make money? You want to make money? You want to make money? Modulate or putting the emphasis on words can change things dramatically. Be quiet. Be soft. Be strong sometimes. Change it. I'm not afraid of silence. Are you? Silence is power. You don't hear me say because I can handle the silence. Use silence. Practice. Can you read that for me? Thank you. Just read it. It's okay, but we'll give you a chance. She wants to read it.
Well, they told you your life is hard. Misery from the start is dull. It's slow. It's painful. But I tell you, life is sweet. In spite of the misery, there's so much more. Be grateful.
Okay, good job. Natalie Merchant, one of my favorite artists, wrote these words. They told you life is hard. It's misery from the start. It's dull. It's slow. It's painful. But I tell you that life is sweet. And in spite of the misery, there's so much more. Be grateful. Powerful words. Practice reading poetry. Did you see the difference? That's a tough one. She didn't know to do that. Next time, we'll sing it at karaoke. Keep it simple, powerful. So, we've talked about attractive presentation, visual, vocal, and words. Let's talk about your energetic ending. Your energy can change lives, can save lives, can motivate, can pick up that one person in the audience that's lacking motivation and pick them up. Now, most important thing is practice. No practice, bad presentation. Q&A, when you're giving a pitch and it goes into the Q&A session, you know what people do? They give up their presentation to the audience. Okay, so I've finished and now I'm available for Q&A. What are you going to do about, boom. You said that business is going to grow, but there's a competitor, boom. You get knocked back in Q&A. Who takes control? It's your time. You have to re-engage. That's a great point, and here's my answer to it. Re-engage at Q&A. Don't let the judges or the audience or the investor take away your power. And when they get to you and they get you into a corner and they're beating you, as a good judge will do when instructed, they're like, this is crap, and they're trying to get the other judges to join in on this point, and you're weak. You can even stop it and say, I think we've concluded that that point is an excellent point. But there are other points that are very powerful in my argument. Is there any further question about that point? I'd like to continue on. If you do it in a polite way, you can regain the energy. You want to recap and end with action and emotion, a call to action. Like the call to action, I'm going into the other room. There's another guy over there waiting to give me the money. Are you ready? Call to action. Think of a Broadway play. When you walk into a Broadway play, you go sit down in the audience. You listen to the crowd. You listen, the crowd's there, they're listening, and out comes the lead, and she's singing, and they're dancing, and they're doing all this. You're like, it's amazing. I'm sorry, it's not amazing for the men and women that are the actors and the actresses. They've done it every night for the last 300 nights. You think it's exciting for them? But is it exciting for you? Every single audience member that comes in there every single night, it's new and fresh for them. But it's painful and boring for you. I often say the winners in case competitions, particularly over a long period of time, are the ones that can push through the boredom. Repeat questions when you're asked. Are you asking this? You have a right to get the question right. When someone says, well, I don't understand because you said this and that. Well, sorry. What was the question? What question would you like me to answer? I didn't understand what you said. It's your Q&A session, not theirs. If you don't know the answer, you may have to say, I don't have an answer for that, but I will. I want to highlight this one, a short rhythm. What ends up happening is that judges, boom, boom, they may ask a question and then people go, well, they'll talk for 5 minutes about that. No, that's not Q&A. You ask the question, I give you an answer. What's next? You ask the question, I give you an answer. So now we've looked at the 5 parts of a great presentation. We want to end with a call to action. Never end your presentation with these 2 words. Never. And with words or thoughts that are going to get your audience so they'll never forget. Make the ending as memorable as the beginning. Plan it, practice it, write it. So we've talked about it. We've talked about 5 points. We've talked about bringing it into an overriding theme. We've said a great presentation, a great idea combined with a great presentation can change the world. What am I talking about? This is a great idea. That was a great idea. That was a great idea. That was a great idea. And that was a great idea. These are great ideas. And Steve Jobs was a great presenter. In fact, his presentation here touched almost 15 million and probably up to 20 by now. Okay. You remember that funny picture? That's my mother. We were out having ice cream. It was cold. She was all cold. And she's like, yeah, ice cream. My mother's awesome. That's my mom and dad back in North Carolina. My mother, she's always laughing. My dad has an iPad. He worked on it all the time, listened to stuff, watched stuff. See my mom's face? She didn't have one. She asked me, on my 75th birthday, can you buy me an iPad? I said, Mom, let's go to the Apple store. We went down to that Apple store, and we got that great idea. And it was a great presentation to bring it out to the world. And there's my mom learning it, and this dude was awesome. I just stood back and took pictures. 75 years old, she's learning the iPad. And there we are. This great idea, this iPad allowed us to do FaceTime, and there we are, talking every day.
Steve Jobs changed my son's life, and my son changed my life by buying me an iPad for my 75th birthday. Since then, I've had to learn to use it, and every day we talk on Skype or FaceTime. And I can see his life and see him in person. That's just wonderful. It's just like he's right in the room with me.
Great ideas and great presentations can change lives. It opened my mother's life at the age of 75 to be able to stay in touch with me every day. Now, take what I've taught you and go out there and change the world.
Wow, thank you very much, Andrew. As you said, great presentations has no questions.
Or no time.
But we're going to open the floor to questions. So let's see if that works. Okay? So we're going to test you here. Any questions? Please.
When you said in the presentation said I'm in this for you, so you just said you talk to the audience that I'm in it for you.
I think that the answer to that question is really, it comes back to practice. And practice means not only practicing by yourself, trying to memorize your lines or whatever. It means practicing in front of real people. I mean, I literally get my friend and I'm like, sit down, I gotta walk you through how I'm gonna present this. And then my friend's like, sorry, you don't care about me, you care about you. It's your idea and you're gonna make a lot of money. So that's how I practice, so that I can tell whether it's not, it's just like everything I write. I've reread it probably 5 times and I've got 2 editors that read what I write. So I think that it's gotta be kind of that real interaction before you go on stage. Other questions?
How do you motivate yourself if you're speaking something for the first time? How do you convey that same sense of energy that you would have, even though you practiced it so many times over and over again?
I woke up this morning at 4 a.m. like I do most days, but I just had a series of bad events happen in the morning, and then I went on my bicycle at about 9 or 10 to try to get over it, but I didn't really get over it. And then I had a pretty good lunch, but there really was just something in me. I wasn't feeling great today. Did you notice? Probably not. Because when it's showtime, it's showtime. When you are up on this stage, it is a show. So you got to bring your energy. Now, things that I do, of course, are like we were talking, they were saying, let's eat some food before you go on. I'm like, no, I have my rituals. I don't eat food before I go on because I'm just nervous that something could happen with my stomach or whatever. But the point is that you gotta really be excited about bringing that energy. And the fact is that you gotta dig down and get that energy and bring it up. I think the harder part is practicing all the time when you're not on the stage. That's hard, and just reworking it. And I coach teams and I'm like, now do audio clips and send them to me. I want to hear you say it. Nope, that's not good enough. Do it again, do it again. It just comes down to practice, and it's hard. And I really think that the teams that win in case competitions that I'm involved in are the teams that can push through the boredom. And it's not the boredom of being on stage, but it is the boredom of preparing.
As you talk to many different kinds of people, have you found that there are different groups in terms of optimizing or changing your energy, your emotion to tailor, almost like different segments? And just to clarify a little, like, don't get into cultural differences. So let's say, you know, only Westerners or only Thais or anything within a certain group. Are there segments even within that where you have to change that power, that energy, and emotion?
I think you do have to change it, but probably not as much as you think, because the truth is that it's emotion. We all have emotion. And the fact is, people want to laugh. They want to feel excited. They want to feel energy. So that part, I think, you can play around with. Now, in a Thai context, as an example, when you shout really loud, it's offensive, you know. And I know that the people in this audience are a little bit more exposed to Western culture, so it's not going to scare them. But, you know, you do have to make some adjustments, and that has to do with, you know, your perception of the audience. I just was in China presenting to one audience, and it's going to be a little bit different, but it doesn't have to be that much different. I think where you get a big difference is you get 2 different people. This person's kind of right brain, this person's kind of left brain, or this one doesn't care about numbers, this one cares about numbers, this one thinks in stories and ideas, and this one thinks in numbers and facts. So you've got to, you know, I'm a fact guy. I'm an order, structure. But I also got that person with my yogurt eating rats, like a story, right? So you got to combine them, and then you'll hit both of them. Your audience is never going to be all of them the same type. Yeah.
If you found a group of audience that no matter what you do, they like big activity in the room. Like, you try every possible.
You doubt me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You try every trick. You scream at them. You cry, or you just
Yeah. I had 2 examples I can tell you. The first one was a hedge fund in New York. There was 4 people in the hedge fund. I walked in. My salesperson I was with didn't tell me that these guys were brutal. And I sat down and I started to talk about my latest research about the Thai banking sector at that time, and I was walking through this amazing research I had done, and this person blasted me. While she's blasting me, he's thinking of his question, then he blasts me. And they're tearing me down. Not only just on my analysis, but you're wrong. These numbers are wrong. There's errors in these numbers. And they were blasting me, and my decision at the time was, the harder they pushed, the softer and slower I would get. And that was the strategy I employed. And it ended up slowing them down and seeing what they're trying to do is raise you up, get you to engage like that. And I just slowed down. Yeah, well, let's look at that. Let me look at that point. Here it is. And this is what I did. So slowing down can help a lot. I had another time when I presented to about 75 people that were high net worth. They were at a lunch. They had meetings all morning with these boring speakers, and then I was asked to come in and give a speech at lunchtime. They're all eating, clack, clack, clack. Nobody's listening. So I get up and say, sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to speak about it. And you start speaking more loudly. That doesn't work. But what does work is something I had up there, but I didn't mention it, is what I call irregular silence. Irregular silence is that when we're normally speaking, it goes da 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 da. It doesn't go da 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 da. So what I started doing is I just started slowing down, and I just said, so what I'm going to talk about today is one of the most fascinating things that I've really discovered in a long, long time. And what happens is that the audience is normally listening da 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 da, and then they don't hear it, and then they start going, did the guy forget what he was going to say? What's happening? And then before you knew it, all of them were watching me, and it was completely silent. And that's the only way I know how to calm a loud room. No, I don't. But I love to listen to it.
I asked that because of your use of space and sort of
And that's where I think what I'm trying to do is I'm getting myself in a rhythm, and coming back to your point, you got to get in that rhythm. You got to get on the train and get moving. How many times have I given this presentation? This wasn't the first time. There's a rhythm to this presentation. This is a 3-hour presentation. I squeezed it down. You see, I had to go over a little bit. To try to squeeze it down, I talk really fast. It's a 3-hour presentation on udemy.com. And I actually have a coupon code for you called Sasin29. It's normally selling for $169. You can go there and download it for $29 and watch the full 3 hours.
Any more questions?
What's the coupon code again?
Sasin29. Yeah. $29. That's
And
what?
where to download?
Huh?
Where to download the audio?
Udemy, Udemy.com. And you can type in Andrew Stotz, Udemy.com. And Udemy, U-D-E-M-Y.
Any more? Any
I
more
have
questions?
another question. Regarding the visual, you have mentioned that the background shouldn't be black one and the text shouldn't be light. Can you elaborate more on why?
Yeah, because it's just so hard to see. And what I see is so many cases of people that are amateurish, where they bring in all these different fonts, these different colors. They may bring a white font on a black dark background, but invariably it can be very hard to read. And so keep your fonts simple and normal. Our fonts are black in this world. Keep them black.
Because like Steve Jobs, he normally used like the black background in his style.
Well, Steve Jobs isn't teaching today, unfortunately. So and if Steve Jobs did it, then now, of course, he had another angle, you can say, that his slides were beautifully clean. Yeah, fine. If you want to use a white font on a black dark background and you just have the words "think different," Okay, that's cool. But most students are going to put in all these charts and graphs with all these different colors and boxes with different font. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay,
Yeah.
got that.
Yeah.
Okay, and Andrew, I think there was one crucial point that you didn't repeat throughout your presentation, and that you were single. Okay, so ladies, Andrew is single. He only has a cat at home. Okay.
Just
So-
repeat my speech all day long. Nobody wants to be around me.
Okay, so thank you very much. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
So we have time afterwards, so may invite you all outside. We're going to have a chat with drinks and food. Next month, Sundowner will be on October 15, and we'll have Professor Douglas Abrams, and he's going to be talking about venture capital in Southeast Asia. So please join me outside and have a few drinks. Thank you.